This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, June 16th, 2006, and this is episode number 114 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hochberg from MGMstudios.org. On today's show is Len Testa, co-authored the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
How's it going, Matt?
Outstanding. And we also have Mike Scopa, who is a trip planning guru at mouseplanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
You couldn't find your head with both hands on a flashlight. Sweet blue yonder. Where do they get these knuckleheads, and why do they always wind up in my outfit?
That was my mother-in-law. No, never mind. I was trying to figure out who said it. Hold on.
You don't know? Did I stop
I know.
Everybody knows that one.
The dearly departed. Go ahead.
Yep. And we also have Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
Good evening.
Bela Lugosi vibe going on there.
And welcome.
Welcome.
Today we're talking about July 4th touring at the parks. If you're an unfortunate soul that thought that July 4th was a good time to go,
Oh, you were wrong.
you were wrong. But if
Boy,
you gotta
were
go,
wrong.
sometimes, sometimes we don't get days off other than holidays, and we gotta bite the bullet sometimes, and
Exactly.
July 4th is one of those days. Len, is July 4th the busiest day of the year, or what are we looking at? Second busiest? Third busiest?
No, it's last year. It was the peak wait time at the Magic Kingdom on July 4th was only 100 minutes, and we've certainly seen much busier than that in the parks. I mean, during a summer day, other summer days, you could see 120, 130 minute waits.
I can verify that because I was there on July 4th.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. I mean, obviously a 100-minute wait isn't great, but
You were expecting
bad.
much worse.
I was expecting in the 120, 130 range. But I think the fact that it's on a weekday moderates it just a little bit. But
Right, this year
and then
it's
too,
not.
I think a lot of people, hopefully some people are taking our advice and not going to the Magic Kingdom and heading to like Epcot, which is definitely going to hold crowds a lot better.
Well, that leads us right into my next question, Len. With July 4th, before you go, which parks would you say, could you perhaps rank the parks in terms of the best parks to go to? I think Magic Kingdom is last place, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, probably the Animal Kingdom or the studios would be last, only because of their size.
Yeah.
So you really think that, so you're putting Magic Kingdom second then, is that what you're saying?
2 or 3. The two factors that you're looking at there are relative popularity and then amount of stuff to do. And then size. So Epcot is clearly going to be the best choice for 4th of July. It's more than twice the size of the Magic Kingdom, and yet it doesn't attract as many visitors on an average daily basis. So you've got fewer people and more space. That's going to be one of the places to be. I think Magic Kingdom will be number 2, though, only because if you've got a touring plan, which we'll talk about later on in the show, if you've got a touring plan, a day with 100-minute waits is still manageable because you won't be waiting anywhere near 100 minutes, especially if you follow a couple of our strategies. And then after that, I would probably say the studios is going to be a little bit bigger than the Animal Kingdom. It's definitely got more attractions. You'd probably want to go there, number 3, and I would, at all costs, you couldn't get me at the Animal Kingdom there on a bet. And I like that park. It's just so small for the crowds, and the number of attractions that they have open is not great. So I wouldn't stay there. Interestingly, the Magic Kingdom actually has a morning extra magic hour, so it'll be opening at 7 a.m. to to Disney Resort guests on July 4th.
Jeez.
But the issue with the crowds is really late in the day when you're getting towards the fireworks. That's when the real issue of crowd level really comes to the top.
I don't know, because I think if you're dropping the money to be in the park, you're gonna try and get there. It's a legal holiday, right? So if you're gonna go, you're gonna get there, I think, in enough time to get your money's worth. But to Mike's point, everyone's gonna stay. No one's going home after dinner.
Right.
Yeah, I think even more to Mike's point is that with it being July 4th, a lot of the locals will, sit at home, sleep in, take the day off, because everyone's got the day off, really, and then be like, well, it's July 4th, let's go see fireworks, let's go to Disney World.
Right.
And you would think more of an influx of locals as you get closer and closer to the fireworks at the end of the night.
Maybe. I don't
I don't
know.
think so?
Tough to I think the whole impact of locals is overstated, especially with the Magic Kingdom. It's really tough to say.
They may get turned off by crowds as well.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you do that versus like Orlando, the city themselves, has to have a pretty decent fireworks display too. Is it more than Walt Disney World? No. Are the crowds more manageable? Possibly yes. That's the thing. And it's certainly cheaper too, right?
Right.
Plus, you've got SeaWorld, you've got Universal
Yeah.
Studios.
So, yeah, I'm thinking and plus locals too generally are smaller group sizes than non-locals.
Well, now Scopa, you did the MGM Studios last year for July 4th. Is that right?
2 years ago, Matt.
2 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago, I did MGM Studios, and I found the evening fireworks at MGM Studios to be the most crowded of all three, Epcot and MGM and Magic Kingdom. It's just because that park's Hollywood Boulevard is just too narrow to support
too narrow for the
crowd. I mean, I could have fainted and I would have remained, vertical.
Standing straight up.
It's just, and that's the reason why it's so crowded is that they're showing Sorcery in the Sky, and that is shown 2 or 3 times a year. So anyone who's a fan of Sorcery will go there, and anyone who has never seen it, who is curious about it, will want to go see it, and that really brings in the crowd. So last year I was at the Magic Kingdom, and like Len said, it was a typical summer day. It wasn't extra crowded, and I had plenty of breathing room. I watched Wishes and the July 4th spectacular fireworks from Main Street, and I was fine.
And Mike Newell, have you been there for July 4th?
No, never.
Never been there.
No.
Smart man. I don't understand why you would want to go. Crowds and heat. It's just. Ugh.
Well, if you look at what Disney's doing in terms of parades and fireworks, I mean, I think that if you're there in the afternoon, you'll definitely get your money's worth. It's got 2 Share a Dream Come True parades, one at 12:30 and one at 3:30. And Matt, I want to talk about that 12:30 parade because it's going to affect the touring plan that we'll provide later on. It's got 2 Spectrum Magics, one at 10:30 p.m. and one at 12:30 in the morning, which is just classic. Imagine past midnight the Spectrum Magic parade. That's got to be a hoot.
That's got to be great. And it'll be crowded.
Oh, yeah. And then there's a Fantasy in the Sky fireworks at 9 p.m. as well. So you've got 5 different parade and fireworks showings there.
Well, speaking of that, Len, let's move on to the touring plan for July 4th, and we're going to be talking about the Magic Kingdom. Is that right?
That's right. Magic Kingdom touring plans for holidays are a little bit different than our standard touring plans because of the change in crowd dynamic that we've seen when crowds get very, very large. So for example, the way that a crowd would behave during a typical crowd level 6, 7, or 8 is going to be a little bit different than the way that they would behave on a day that would rate the crowd level of 10. Okay. And it's specifically around secondary attractions like Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean, where you'd see those fill up quicker. So the order of those attractions changes in the touring plan quite a bit. Would definitely though if you're getting there, we'll do the adult one-day Magic Kingdom holiday touring plan here. If you've got kids, best advice I can give you is to break it up over 2 days and don't try and see everything at once on one day, especially if your day is July 4th. So we've got a typical 2-day touring plan for parents with small children on there. Either day would be fine for that. I would not try and see the Magic Kingdom with kids in one day on July 4th.
And of course, this touring plan, as well as many other touring plans, can be found at touringplans.com, where Len's got a touring plan for almost any scenario out there.
Cool. So thanks, Matt. So starting off, once you get through the park, you want to grab park maps and a daily entertainment schedule as you're going through the turnstiles, and then you want to hot-foot it over to Space Mountain Tomorrowland and ride that. And while you're in Tomorrowland, I would also ride Buzz Lightyear. Now, both of those are Fast Pass attractions, but I think at this point it's probably not a good strategy to use your Fast Pass on either one because depending on what crowds are going to look like in a few more steps, like in about an hour, you might want to save that Fast Pass. Step 3 would be walking from Tomorrowland sort of counterclockwise in the park to the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which is right on the border where Fantasyland meets Tomorrowland. So if you're walking from Buzz Lightyear, you're going to keep the Tomorrowland Indy Speedway on your right and walk towards Fantasyland. Buzz Lightyear will be on your left. I'm sorry, Buzz. Winnie the Pooh will be on your left. Woo, I'm on crack. From there, you'll want to exit Winnie the Pooh and make a left and head for Snow White's Scary Adventures and ride. And then cross the Fantasyland Plaza to Peter Pan's Flight and ride Peter Pan's Flight. You'll also want to see Mickey's Fellhar Magic while you're there, which is also a Fast Pass attraction. And by then it should be around, let's see, if you're getting there early, it should be around about 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:30 in the morning. You'll want to head over to Splash Mountain, which should be open by then. And if the wait here exceeds more than 30 minutes, this is where you would want to use the Fast Pass. And right after that, you want to ride Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Now, the interesting thing here about this touring plan that I didn't mention, Matt, is that this will work well even if you're a Disney Resort guest, because you start off in Tomorrowland and then you head over to Fantasyland. And those are two of the lands that are going to be open during Extra Magic Hours.
Okay, so yeah, just to clarify that, what you mean by that is that by resort guest, you mean a resort guest who's taking advantage of Extra Magic Hours.
Extra Magic Hour, right. It should work well for other people too, but since it's a morning Extra Magic Hour, guests who are staying at a Disney Resort can definitely take advantage of this plan.
Right.
After Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which would be step 9 in the plan, I would suggest eating an early lunch, and the reason for that is that because crowds are going to build so quickly, you definitely want to get that out of the way. Pecos Bills here. I think everyone here likes Pecos Bills, right?
Yep. Yeah, Scopa would eat there all the time if it wasn't for Le Cellier.
The only alternative to Pecos Bills that I might recommend would be the Columbia Harbor House in Liberty Square, and that's because the step after the lunch is the Haunted Mansion, and the Haunted Mansion is directly across from the Columbia Harbor House.
Or you could just eat Wonka bars for lunch. I mean, I don't see a problem with that.
That's true. You could just pick them up on Main Street on your way in, but you do divert valuable touring time in the morning from grabbing the Wonka bars. So you could have one member of your party go get the Wonka bars for you.
But I don't think that person would ever make it back, because if someone signed that to me...
Yeah, I'll take your money. Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
After the Haunted Mansion, you want to try and ride the Jungle Cruise in Adventureland, and this would be a good time to actually hit Adventureland because this will be sort of the late morning, right around lunchtime time when crowds are going to be concentrated in Tomorrowland, Frontierland, and Fantasyland. So Adventureland should be, relatively speaking, quiet. You'll want to ride the Jungle Cruise, get a Fast Pass here, and the wait exceeds 30 minutes, go ahead and get the Fast Pass. While you're doing that, or after you've done that, Pirates of the Caribbean should be open July 4th. You'd also want to see the Enchanted Tiki Birds. And here's a tip. In most of our touring plans, we have this sequence where you either see the Enchanted Tiki Birds first, and immediately after that, the Country Bear Jamboree, and Frontierland. And the reason for this is this. If you're exiting the Enchanted Tiki Birds, you make a quick left, you walk through a small covered walkway, and you're right at the entrance of Frontierland's Country Bear Jamborees. It's going to be it's like 30 feet. It's a tiny amount.
But it's one of the few lands that you can like cut through.
There's a shortcut, right? Exactly.
Right.
So yeah, and plus since they're stage shows, there's not much of a wait between shows. You should be able to walk literally out of Enchanted Tiki Birds and get in the next show for Country Bear. Maybe you'll wait one show, but I think you'll be fine there. After the Country Bear Jamboree, you can walk directly across the street to the Liberty Bell Riverboat. Won't be open, but you can take a look at it while you're there. You see what you can't ride, and then also definitely see the Hall of Presidents while you're there in Liberty Square. It's nice, it's cool, it's relaxing. If you've got small children, you want to see Tom Sawyer Island. I would definitely plan on spending about an hour there. Now, the good thing about this is that if during your time in Adventureland right after lunch, the first parade should be coming through around 12:30.
Mm-hmm.
And the parade is going to cut Adventureland off from the rest of the park. So the one benefit of the touring plan is that you won't have to cross the parade route because you'll be seeing the attractions. So it does two things. One is it makes your life easier by not having to cross the parade route, which is difficult. Two, the parade is actually preventing other people from getting into Adventureland. So it should limit your crowds.
Genius.
I know. It's a nice little tip. Yeah, it took like 2 years to figure that out.
That's why we call you Len Luthor. You're an evil genius.
So, and really, after lunch, all of your big attractions are done. A couple of other things you want to fit in is, if you want to see Toontown, I would definitely take the Frontierland Railroad from Frontierland to Toontown and see it. That railroad in Frontierland is located just above the entrance to Splash Mountain. Look for a set of wood stairs to your left going up. If you want to see Toontown, that's fine. If you don't, you can just head back to Main Street or to Tomorrowland. In Tomorrowland, you want to finish up the simple attractions like Carousel of Progress and the Tomorrowland Transit Authority. By that time, you should start looking for things like the evening parade and the evening fireworks around 9 o'clock. For dinner, if you're in Tomorrowland, I think Cosmic Rays is probably your best choice, right? Would anybody say different?
If you're, unless your family likes, say, the sort of fare that you get at the Tomorrowland, what's it called? With the turkey legs and everything over there, right underneath the TTA.
Oh, the launching pad?
Yeah, over there. There's the launching pad, and then there's another little stand, isn't there? I know there's a hot dog stand on the card.
Anti-gravities? I love that.
Yeah, so
and there's also on Main Street, there's the Plaza Restaurant.
Or Wonka Bars.
Or Wonka Bars. There's also Wonka Bars. Definitely, though, see the fireworks. Evening parade should be fabulous. You definitely want to, though, be, for the parades, you want to be sort of on the entrance end of Main Street to afford yourself a quick exit from those parades. You definitely don't want to try to leave the park after that first nighttime parade, because it'll be a zoo. Take Scopa's advice and just stay in the park all night.
All night.
Well, that works out. Let's assume. I mean, some people are anti-touring plan, and that's their opinion, and that's fine. Any rules of thumb for July 4th touring in perhaps Magic Kingdom or any of the parks?
I think a good basic piece of advice is to get there early, see the headliner attractions, and then, if at all possible, leave during the middle part of the day, like around 12 or 1 to, say, 5 or 6. That's going to be the hottest, most crowded part of the day, and if you get a nap, you'll be much more refreshed and able to stay up for the fireworks. The downside to that is that there's a chance the parks might be, especially the Magic Kingdom, might be crowded enough that they just don't let anyone else back in.
Right.
Obviously, Disney resorts will still get in, and pass holders can still get back in. But for the Animal Kingdom, that might be something that you face. So there's a risk.
One of the problems is right around 4 p.m. almost every single July 4th. Right around 4 p.m. they will close the Auto Plaza, and they will not allow any more cars in the Magic Kingdom parking lot, and that can be a problem because it's usually the parking lot that fills up so quickly by mid-afternoon that they have no more room, and so they turn cars around. I know they did that last year. That's one of the problems of getting into the park after 2 p.m. So if you're going to the Magic Kingdom on July 4th, it's best that you are there by 2 p.m.
Great, and of course we'll have the link to the touring plan over at touringplans.com that Len has talked about along in the show notes. We'll also have all of that. That's it for us today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.